Welcome to Oxford. It's one of the most well-known, beautiful and prestigious cities in all of the UK. However, I was intrigued today. I read a news article that was essentially saying the complete opposite of what I've said, saying that it was a dive, that it was totally run down with a high crime rate. Well, I'm sure there are two sides to this story. Join me today as we explore what the real Oxford is like. Let's see where the tourists don't go. Join me. Straight off the bat, something that was really interesting as I was driving through is this abandoned pub. It looks like it could have been a Green King, but to be honest, so many pubs use that green sort of signage. But it just looks a bit... I mean, I really wasn't expecting this. I mean, in a minute we'll go to the centre, and obviously the centre's going to be totally different, right? But you just don't expect a site like this when you come to Oxford, really. Don't see it at all. Look at this. It's all completely abandoned. I want to see if we can potentially get in or see what's around there. But straight off the bat, literally, I'm driving through there. I managed to stop the car just to see. I think Oxford, it's obviously home to one of the greatest, if not the greatest university of all time. Some of the smartest, most ingenuitive people will live here. And yet there's still places like this. Just goes to show how mixed most towns are, right? Yeah, this looks like the entrance. The Bullnose Morris. Rest in peace. The issue with the pubs is the tax on the beers just keeps rising and rising. And back in the day, when I was a young man, believe it or not, I used to actually work in a pub, and we would look at the profit margins of what you could sell, and essentially beer was so unprofitable. If you don't sell food, you're going to end up like this, and I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't sell too much food, or they weren't just well known for it. And that's why you're only really getting the big chains like Wetherspoons that are surviving. The taxes are too high, the overhead just keeps going up and up since COVID, obviously. And yeah, it's just leaving many businesses like this just to be in wreckage, even in a prestigious place like Oxford. I mean, what's Luton like in comparison? Random alley time. Let's have a little look around an alley in the most dangerous part of Oxford, which apparently is bad, but I don't believe it, to be honest. I really don't. I mean, you get a lot of alleys like this where you've just got random, you know, crap to sort of left out. But the thing is, the last video we did was in Croydon, so Oxford is going to look very nice. I've got a feeling by the end of the video I'm only going to say nice things, but I might be surprised. You never really know with these things. I mean, right now we're in this estate, basically. The pub looked a bit crap, but the actual estate, it looks like a fairly normal area. Would you expect it in Oxford? No, to be honest. I'm a little bit shocked that this is in Oxford, but nonetheless, it's just a normal neighbourhood. I mean, the perception of Oxford is, obviously you've got the smartest people here, but at the same time it's one of the wealthiest cities in the UK. It's basically the end of the south of England, really, isn't it? One thing that a lot of the locals were saying to me is they've been priced out of central Oxford's, or even the old outskirts, and they've been moved into Blackbird Lays, which is where we are at the moment. And all of these have been built over the years to house the people who have been slowly kicked out further and further from the centre, with some saying even nowadays they're physically having to move from Oxford to another place. It's sad to see. I mean, there's always pros and cons to everything, right, in life. But with gentrification, I mean, it's just popping everyone out of the city centre. We've got another abandoned building here, I'll show you actually. Look at this. There's this building here. But it does look like it's been closed for some time now, doesn't it? With the trolley outside. Here it looks like we've got some sort of park. Very green part. That's what I love about England. It's just so green. Like, say what you want, the country's gone to toss, right? But it's just so green, this country. I always look forward to coming back and just seeing the countryside, or even just parks. Like most large cities in the UK, Blackbird, Lays and Oxford have their own little mini town centres depending on which area you are in Oxford. So this is the main sort of centre of Blackbird, Lays or Lees. Someone in the comments will tell me that I'm pronouncing it wrong. you've got a lot of these abandoned shops. Give it the benefit of the doubt, it is close to Christmas, so I wouldn't expect everything to be open. You've got a Ladbrokes and a Nisa local open, but that's pretty much what's left here. An abandoned telephone box, the usual sort of stuff really. Opposite us we've got a pub. We're going to see if it's actually open or if it's abandoned just like the other one. Let's check it out. Would you look at that, it is actually open. At least they have one pub here. It's not all doom and gloom for Blackbird Lays. There is one pub, potentially more that I just don't know about. I mean, people just assume that I'm from the area that I'm filming, which is always quite funny. It's just a weird vibe, guys. Like, this is Oxford. Once again, it's all of these. It's about 3 PM in the afternoon. Like, you'd expect most of these to be open by now, at least the Chippy or something like that. Albeit we are fairly out of town, don't get me wrong. But nonetheless, it does look like this place has seen better days. Maybe back in the day it was a bit more lively. At the same time though, I'm not getting the dangerous vibes, quotation marks, that article was using. As I say, it feels like a normal sort of semi-suburban area, to be completely honest. Like my town where I'm from has areas just like this dotted around, and I can say quite confidently that Oxford is a lot nicer. But if you're ever planning on visiting Blackbird Lays or Lees, let me show you the #1 tourist attraction in pretty much all of Oxford, let's face it. The Blackbirds of Blackbird Lees. Oh yeah, look at that. Work of art. So what are my final thoughts on Blackbird Lees, Blackbird Lays? Well, I think I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised at the same time. On one hand, you think of Oxford as being this super prestigious, one of the greatest cities in Europe, as being an area where this wouldn't exist. Small-minded view, I suppose. At the same time, I'm not surprised because I've been to enough places to know there's good and bad everywhere, right? And to be honest, it's not that bad at all. I know some people in Oxford may think this is like the worst part of the world, basically, but it's really not that bad. It's just a fairly slightly below average area, depending what part of the country you're from in England. So yeah, that's my overall reviews. To be honest, I'm not massively surprised, but yeah, I don't think there's really much to see, to be honest. But I know where there is somewhere to see, and that is the town centre of Oxford. Let's check out that area and let's see if anything good or bad is going on there. From the article, apparently it's filled with these violent youths who are going around shouting and robbing people. Let's see if that's true. I highly doubt it. Right now we're in the centre of Oxford. We're in a district called Arvington. Now here they have this wonderful, beautiful park. I have no idea what the name is, probably Arvington Park, probably something completely different. But yeah, there's just all of these lakes around. There's like a cricket ground behind me. You've got people feeding the ducks. It's a lovely, peaceful scene. You've got tennis courts over there. It's rather pleasant. Once again, I don't really know what this guy's playing at, saying that Oxford is so bad. It's simply not true from what I've seen. I mean, if that Blackbird Lays is the worst part, then it can't be that bad. I mean, if that is the worst, surely the centre isn't bad, right? Surely not. Anyway, I'm going to show you this lake and then we'll drive into the main centre, and we'll have a little look, see what we can find, see if we can find some utes throwing stones at me, who knows. Over here, that is literally the end of Oxford, just across that river. Anyone who knows anything about geography kind of knows that Oxford is mainly quite a skinny little city. I mean, it goes north to south quite a lot, but south to east it doesn't really go up too much. As a result, it's really easy to get out of Oxford, so if you like nature, it's actually a really nice place to live. Saying that, it has got one of the most expensive house prices in the entirety of the UK. It's more expensive than Chichester, it's more expensive than even some parts of London, and I think that says everything you need to know. There we go. Here's the river of Oxford. Look at that. All these canals here are rather pretty. as well. It's almost kind of makeshift where there's people's back gardens literally on it, but I would love to live there. You've got the main roads there, but you say you're a few houses back, you can't see it, and you've got a lovely little park, or quite a big park, just down there. What a lovely place to live. Guys, this is a lot more like it. This is what you think Oxford is going to look like. Very much like a Belgium or Poland sort of scene here, really, isn't it? You could be in Bruges or somewhere like that. That is absolutely night and day to where we were. Literally just 10 minutes down that road, it's totally different. And another 10 minutes down that road, it's a world apart. That's magnificent as well. Look at like someone's house I'm filming here, but there's literally statues inside the houses. It's probably why they're some of the most expensive in the country. The amount of detail and time and money and intellect that goes into building something like that. Crazy. Now that is such a common sight that you'll see all the way through, even the Cotswolds bit in Oxfordshire and a few of the surrounding counties. It's called oolitic limestone, and that is what makes the buildings in Oxford so pretty and so different compared to many other parts of the UK. Oolitic limestone, there's a fact for you. I'm gonna say it now, guys, we haven't stepped too far into the city centre, we're merely on the outskirts, but as you can see behind me with the oolitic limestone, I think this is tosh, to be honest. I don't think it's very dangerous here, though. The only dangerous thing I can find is there is a Sainsbury's trolley left on the side of the pavement. It's the closest I can find, but to be honest, I mean, look at this building here. I don't even know what I'm looking at. All I know is it's oolitic limestone. Have a shot of vodka every time I say oolitic limestone, but check it out. Annoyingly, because we've got a wide angle lens, you're probably not going to see the intricacy and the detail of all those buildings. That's got to be the nicest kokora I've ever seen in my life. That has got to be the nicest Santander that I've ever seen in my life. That has got to be the nicest wasabi I've ever seen in my life. Well, behind me here, guys, we've got the world famous Oxford Union, where so many people have went to perform, so many people have went to speak to the students there. The smartest minds pretty much in the world, certainly in the UK. What a nice place. And in front we've got, I don't know what it is. I'm not going to pretend that I know what it is. It looks like a mix between some sort of spire and probably a cathedral or a church. Update, it is certainly a cathedral church, and a magnificently beautiful one. Look at that. Don't get that in Luton, do you? Hi, bro. I always say this on the channel, but I really like it when you've got a mixture of an old thatched, well, not thatched, but old sort of Tudor-esque building and a super modern one right next to it. It's always nice to see that contrast between where history is going and what history was once before. Absolutely love it. That's why London is, despite its issues, a really good city for tourists to visit, especially if it's your first time in Europe. Such a good place to visit. Well, here in front of me we've got the big mall. Jesus Christ, it's big. I wasn't expecting it. to be this big. It's almost like blue water. Let me turn the camera around. Obviously, it's mega busy because it's running up to Christmas now. It's well decorated. It's very beautiful. You've got all the shops you need. You've got a River Island. You've got a H&M, a Uniqlo. It's quite a nice mall. It's just that awful time of year where it's just so busy. You can't hear yourself think, you can't hear yourself talk, and it's freezing outside. I've always hated winter. I don't understand how people can prefer winter to summer, but there we go. Nonetheless, check out the mall. It's very nice. Hang on a minute, it's on multiple floors as well. There's an entire downstairs, and it looks right in the distance, you won't be able to see this, but there's actually a top floor over there and a walkway as well. It looks like there's more food downstairs and more clothes and whatnot upstairs. It looks super modern as well. It couldn't have been built too long ago. In fact, I'm just seeing a sign on my left. It's saying a roof terrace, and we'll go up there and check it out after that plan of action is. On my right, we've got a famous hill. Apparently it's fairly famous. It is a big tourist attraction here in Oxford, so we'll go and check that out as well, see if we've got a little view of the city. Hopefully they're not going to charge us some stupid entry fee for a hill. Can you believe it? This rooftop just has the most outrageously priced and fancy and expensive restaurants you've ever seen. You know it's posh when they've got these igloo things. But to be honest, the view's good, but it's mainly blocked by these semi-new buildings, isn't it? Like, you can't actually you can see the spires in the distance, which is quite nice, but you can't see too much. Fingers crossed we can get around to the right side and I can show you potentially a better view. Let's have a look. Right now we're in a market that's 250 years old, an old covered market. Now essentially all of these stores that you're going to see on both your left and your right, which you probably saw in the montage earlier, they've been around for hundreds and hundreds of years. The vast majority of them hundreds of years. I'm sure that hasn't been around for hundreds of years, but the market itself and the building that surrounds it is all history essentially. It's a big old open-air museum, and it is weirdly quite a bit warmer than it is on the outside. Maybe it's because of the wind or something like that, I have no idea. Also, I don't think that was 250 years old, but apart from that, quite a nice piece of history. This is Oxford Castle and prison and hill all in one. Now, to my knowledge, I think you have to pay to get into the actual prison, but I believe you can go up the hill and get to the viewpoint for free. That's what we're going to attempt to do today. But the question is, where does the bloody thing start? It's not that busy. I mean, the actual town centre is like mega busy with tourists and whatnot. But here it seems pretty dead. I mean, there's a few people here and there, but as you can see, there's not too much going on. There's two people there. Mound closed. That might be why. Now, unfortunately, we don't really have time to go inside the prison or the money to go inside the prison, but I can show you the outside, which is where most of the cool architecture is going to be realistically. But for many years, this was an old prison. You can obviously see that by the bars. You can imagine being locked up in there, couldn't you? All the way up there as well. Now they've sort of done it up a little bit, made it into more of a tourist sort of thing. But as you can see, it's literally such an old building, one of the oldest prisons in all of the UK, right? As you can see, they've done it a little bit up over there. I think we might have just walked into the bit we have to pay for by accident. So that's how you get in for free. You walk around the back. We've got a wing over there, and you know what? It doesn't look like too bad of a prison. It's almost built into the it is sort of built into a castle. I'm sure with a bit of research, it actually did used to be a castle, and then they converted it into a prison. That's what I'm getting from this. Might be completely wrong. Someone will definitely let me know. Well, here we're in the Memorial Gardens outside one of the main cathedrals and one of the main buildings of Oxford. Let me just show you how beautiful this building is. And literally, no matter where you go in Oxford, even in some of the outskirts to be fair, you're gonna see buildings just like these magnificent, beautiful, big buildings. Obviously it costs a little bit of money to go inside them, but I always say to people, look at the outside. That's the main thing that you're going to be looking. The outside's always better than the inside, and it's free. So let me show you. Got all of that limestone, literally goes on for ages, and then behind you you've got a coffee shop, you've got a park, and a lovely thatched house over there. Can't really beat it, can you? Well, there we go. That was the wonderful city of Oxford. What do we think of it overall? I mean, Blackbird Lays, let's be honest, it wasn't the nicest place. However, saying that, you go to any city or town this size, you're gonna find exactly that no matter where you go. I think that article, we're gonna debunk it. It is a myth. It's not true. I think Oxford is a lovely place. I mean, look at the buildings behind me. It's insane, isn't it? It is a bit touristy, nowhere near as touristy as London. Way better than London in pretty much every single category. It's a really nice size, it's walkable, the people are pretty friendly. Yeah, it's expensive, but probably cheaper than London. On that, I'll see you guys in the next one.